Hello and welcome to the Indianapolis Open Series. I'm Glenn Jones. I'm joined in the booth by Caleb Durward.
Hello, folks.
Caleb, you're known for bringing brews to tournaments. Obviously, you talk a lot about them in your column on Channel Fireball.
Correct.
And you've done yourself another such a thing here at the actual legacy portion of the Indianapolis Invitational. So you're playing Shardless Bug Rug, as near as I can tell.
Right, yes.
Shardless Bug, but you've added the Grove of the Burnwillows Punishing Fire engine to the deck.
Correct.
So first off, explain to me why you wanted to add Punishing Fire to Shardless Bug.
Well, generally when I play the deck to beat, and I do think that Shardless Bug is the deck to beat in this format, I want to tune for the mirror. Because if you tune for the mirror appropriately, you're just going to get plenty of free wins. And in the Invitational, Shardless Bug tends to be a very popular deck at the top tables. So you could hypothetically go into a tournament, beat nothing but the mirror, and still top 8. Which I've done before with Rug Delver and with normal Delver in Standard. Like nothing but the mirror, still managed to top 8. So that was my plan for this tournament.
Okay, that's even more true considering that the Legacy portion is the portion that has the buys this time around. So a lot of these Shardless Bug players are coming in with wins. So if you can just get into that winning bracket, you'll actually be more likely to get paired against them. And you're right that Shardless Bug is a deck to beat the Invitational. It certainly did very well last year. I think it had 4 top 8 slots among the 8 players, something like that.
Tons.
Yeah, so
and the Invitational before that, the one in California, also Shardless Bug did
that was like
very
its
well.
coming out party pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so outside of those changes, you've got most of the actual Shardless Bug engine intact, with the Punishing Fire engine shoehorned in. So you're a little less reliant on removal. You're a little better against things like Magus of the Moon, as I amusingly saw just last round.
Right, yes.
But you've also had to kind of change your top end, since obviously Punishing Fire is how you're winning a lot of these late game situations. You're not as reliant on Jace as the Shardless Bug decks can wind up doing.
It's actually pretty mediocre, Jace the Mind Sculptor. In this format and in this deck, the Punishing Fire makes it so that opposing Jaces aren't really a card, and a lot of the things that you need Jace for, the inevitability, you just don't need because you have the Punishing Fire engine. So I ended up running a 1-on-1 split between Jace the Mind Sculptor and Bloodbraid Elf for this event, but that was a mistake. I definitely should have just run 2 Bloodbraid Elves. They both advance the board state a lot better. They're a lot better from when you're behind. And the thing is, Jace the Mind Sculptor isn't even particularly good in this version of the deck. I made a mistake. I split it 1-in-1 with Bloodbraid Elf, but Bloodbraid Elf is much better when you're behind. It's this great, excellent card at coming back into the game, whereas Jace the Mind Sculptor is kind of this inevitability card that's good for locking up games where you're already either at parity or already ahead. And we already have a card engine for that in the Punishing Fire engine, so Jace was just not very necessary. My thought process was that Jace was going to be better against the unfair decks, which I was going to be weaker to because I was running Punishing Fires. But now that I've played more rounds with the deck, I think that was a mistake. I should have had 2 Bloodbraid Elves.
All right, well, moving over to your sideboard, you said you're particularly proud of it. It starts off with Whip Flare, a card I've actually seen Shardless Bug players splashing online a little bit.
Quite a bit. I
have to admit, I'm not a big fan of that splash. But when you've got the additional of Punishing Fire engine, your mana is going to be able to produce red a lot more consistently.
Right,
I'm not so worried
sources.
about killing off my own Death Red Shamans in that case.
Right. I think Lee on Moto started doing that. He's been behind a lot of Moto innovations, a lot of work in Doomsday, a lot of work in Omniscience. Anyway, I've been a fan of the Whip Flare splash, unlike you, Glenn, but I do agree that it's better in this version because there's groves, because you had access to red more consistently.
Okay, and the last and one of the most interesting cards in your sideboard by far, Ensnaring Bridge. What led you to want to add Ensnaring Bridge to that? Because obviously it kind of operates on a different axis from Whip Flare. This is a great way to take care of gigantic creatures.
Right, and when I started with the sideboard, I took most of it from the work of Peter Tragos. He's a friend of mine. He's worked with similar shells a lot, but he had Nile Spellbomb in the board, and I didn't think there was going to be that many graveyard-based decks in this event, and there was a lot of talk of Sneak and Show. Just a ton of talk of Sneak and Show. Like most of the East Coast players ended up bringing it. I think Ensnaring Bridge was a great choice. I could have even maybe gone up to 3. I haven't played against Sneak and Show yet, but I'm very grateful that there are Ensnaring Bridges in my sideboard, because it colds that deck. They need a bounce. It's bounce spell or bust, and then you have to fight over the bounce spell. And
it's also a really unusual card for them to see coming out of a deck like this one. They're probably not going to expect a creature-based attacking deck to be bringing in bridges.
A Tarmogoyf deck playing Ensnaring Bridge, usually not seen.
But thanks to your Ancestral Visions, you can actually keep your hand high enough to actually be able to attack with pretty much everything, right?
This is true.
It's got to be pretty awkward.
It's not really necessary. Like a pile of Shardless agents gets there a lot of the time. Yeah.
Sneak and Show is not really great at keeping a creature in play effectively over many turns.
Correct.
All right, Caleb. Well, what's your record right now in the Invitational?
I'm currently X 2-1. I just beat a pile of Blood Moons. partially thanks to the Punishing Fire killing Magus of the Moon, partially thanks to Force of Will, and I managed to kill one with Deathrite, tapping for green to cast that green card in my sideboard. The Naturalize.
Seal of Primordium?
Yes, I was going to say the green Seal of Cleansing, but yes, Seal of Primordium. It's been an excellent card against the Blood Moon decks.
Well, you've only sustained 1 loss in Legacy, if I recall correctly.
That's correct. 1 loss and 1 draw. I drew against Cedric playing Goblins. Goblins is a pretty grindy deck, actually. Lots of triggers, and I'm playing Punishing Fires, which slows down
Certainly
things.
goes very long.
It was pretty reasonable that we drew. He spent a lot of game 2 trying to fight through my Miser Engineered Plague, so it was understandable that we went to time. And then, yes, I lost to Reed Duke playing Elves.
All right, well, let's hope you keep up that streak in Legacy.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you, Glenn.